In recent weeks, I've had several clients who were surprised to hear how long I wanted them to keep their child in a sleep sack. I decided this would be a good shorty episode for you all. Today, I'm going to answer the question: when should I stop putting my child in a sleep sack? Hi, I'm Allison Edgety, a pediatric sleep and wellness coach and a mom of two. I love to help parents find solutions. This is How Long Till Bedtime. All right, gang, I am a big fan of sleep sacks, but it might not be for the reason most people suspect. Yes, it's true that sleep sacks are safe, wearable blankets for our babies. But in all reality, I don't think sleep sacks actually help babies sleep better, per se. Beyond being a safe wearable blanket, I think the very, very important role that sleep sacks play is helping us keep our toddlers in the crib as long as possible. Many toddlers between the age of 18 months and 3 years old will get the very unwise idea that they should climb out of their crib. If you've experienced this, it can really leave you in a panic because where do you go from there? If you haven't experienced this, trust the rest of us who have when we tell you that you want to avoid this situation if at all possible. And the very best tool to help you avoid the situation of having your child climb out of the crib before you want to make that transition away from the crib is a sleep sack. If your child is wearing a sleep sack and then they go to swing that leg over the railing, the sleep sack is going to catch the leg. It's going to make it much, much harder for them to actually get the momentum they need to swing the leg over and get out of the crib. So, the answer to the question about when you should stop putting your child in a sleep sack is that you should ideally keep using the sleep sack until you transition your child out of the crib and into a bed. And I strongly recommend keeping your child in a crib until at least the age of 3 years old. If you aren't sure you want to keep your child in the crib that long, I highly recommend you listen to episode 26, where I share 5 myths about the crib to bed transition. All right, back to the sleep sack. The good news is that there are now several companies that make really long sleep sacks. Two of my favorites are the Wolino and the Kite sleep sack. I'll link to both of them in the show notes. A couple of things to keep in mind about sleep sacks. I do recommend that you transition your baby right from a swaddle into a sleep sack. That is, if you are choosing to use a swaddle. By introducing the sleep sack early, your baby's going to think of the sleep sack like it's their pajamas, and they're going to have a strong association with that sleep sack and sleep. That way, they won't think much of it as they're getting older and you're still putting them in the sleep sack. I do want to note, though, that it's certainly not impossible to introduce a sleep sack to a toddler. I help people do it all the time, but you may meet some resistance that you could totally avoid if you go ahead and introduce a sleep sack during infancy. And if you have a toddler who suddenly decides that they would like to take their sleep sack off, or they're curious about this zipper or snap that's on here, and they start to play with it and realize they could take the sleep sack off and they do it just for fun, I recommend putting the sleep sack on backwards so that the zipper is in the back. In this situation, I definitely like to recommend the Kite sleep sack because the neck and the armholes aren't too big. Because let me tell you, kids, they can shimmy out of a lot of things. And so if the neck of the sleep sack or the armhole of the sleep sack is too big, they're going to get their arms out or just shimmy it down past their shoulders and slip it off, even with the zipper in the back. But with the Kite sleep sack, It's snug enough around the neck and the armholes that it's very hard for kids to shimmy out of it. And the way the zipper zips, if you turn it around and zip it on backwards, makes it very hard for the child to reach and unzip the zipper. So, highly recommend that one if you're dealing with that struggle. All right, there you have it. My advice is to keep your child in the sleep sack as long as they are in the crib. I hope this helps many of you avoid ever needing to deal with the stress of a toddler who is climbing out of their crib. Thanks for listening today, and I hope you'll come back again next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to How Long Till Bedtime. To learn how we can work together to improve your child's sleep, please visit sleepandwellnesscoach.com.